Okay. Hello, it's Marcia here from Do You Salute, and today we're going to talk about how I took my ink journal from this to this. Okay, so let's dive in. So in 2023, I was using this Stylology notebook as my ink journal. I decorated with some stickers. This is from Julia here, her fountain pen sticker sheet, and then these are stickers from my Etsy shop. And then also like Happy Planner, and then from like different stores that I bought fountain pens from. So I had like a little index of pens, inks, full bottles, samples. I broke it down like this, and then it wasn't really working too much for me, or I wanted to switch it up. So at the end of 2024, I decided to switch over to this, which is a Hobonichi notebook, and then I just used some scrap paper and printed this and decoupaged it to fix or to change up or personalize the front cover. I'm just gonna quickly run through the old journal. So I had my pen section where I wrote every single fountain pen that I had, the type of pen, the nib, and when I received it. And then I also started to write the ink, some little notes like the flow of it and when I inked the pen, and then I also had written down when I received the pen. But as you can see, I didn't really do a good job keeping up with it. Yeah, so then the second section I had here is my ink section. Again, these nibs are from Julia here. These stickers are from Julia here, and then these are from Happy Planner, and this is just like a regular stamp from Amazon that I used. And what I did was I had a category. I wrote down the name of the ink, the company, when I received it, a mini swatch, and then I also wrote down the size, as you can see. So this one is a 38 milliliter, and then I had in the beginning I numbered my inks, so that way if I was to like say in my journal, just on the corner, just write like 17, then I know that this is the ink one if I ever wanted to go back and say, ooh, what ink is this? So I just did this wet as well. So then for inks that are smaller bottles or samples, I use 2 per page as well. So this journal is for 2023 and 2024. So I had created another section for 2024. I wrote down the pens that I got for 2024 and the inks as well. Also had decided to do currently inked in order to keep track of the pens that were inked, and what pens were inked and what ink was used for the month. And then I also received a specialty nib called from the Good Blue. It's a zoom nib, so I just wrote down a section for specialty nibs. And then yeah, then towards the end of the year, this setup wasn't really working for me, and I ended up just like using it kind of like as a scrapbook for like when I have friends over and I talk to them about nibs. I had them like try nibs and then try different pens. Yeah, so I also this is when Julia from Julia here came over for the Yoseka Stationery Fest. So we had like a little nib party. Whenever we hang out, I call it Julisha, which is like a combination of her name and my name, Julia Marcia. So we just sampled different nibs, and I just wrote it down so we could just see what it felt like as well. Yeah, so that is the breakdown. And then in the back of it, yeah, so like here, for example, my cousin came over and I had her try my different pens, and we just keep like a log of it as well. So that's what's in here. I also had another section, which is one second. Here I had gotten all the samples of the Sailor Shikiori nibs in cartridges, so I have it like the names here to help me keep track. And then also on these final 2 pages, it's a track of my pens for 2023, how much I paid for it, which is kind of personal. Yeah. So I was using this before, and then also this as to swatch my inks. I was also using a Waringal card sheet as well to swatch my nibs. So I was finding that this didn't really work for me because one, this isn't the type of paper that I use primarily to write my fountain pens. So these swatches, the inks may not necessarily look like this on the paper that I use. So this one didn't really work for me. The idea was to take it with, to be able to take it with me if I'm going pen or ink shopping. I could compare and stuff, but I seldomly took this outside of the house. So that didn't work. What I decided to do was move over to this Hobonichi. It's very small. It's easy to put in the pocket, not pocket, to put in my book bag, my pocketbook, my purse. Yeah, so what I did was I have it here. Okay, so I grouped everything by color family. So yellow, orange, pink, blue, what made sense to me, green, purple, gray. And then Ink Vent 2023, the Sailor Shikiori line. Then I wanted to do something where I pick my favorite colors that for the fall vibes, for winter, spring, summertime. Then the color vent I did for 2024, and then list my favorite inks as well. So this is kind of like a directory. And then here I have them each swatched, or the majority of them swatched here for each color and stuff. So what this is, whenever I go out and about now, I take this book with me. It's lighter, it's easier to carry, and more likely, often than not, the paper that I do use my fountain pens are closer to this material. So right now I'm in the Sterling Ink book where it's similar paper. So here's this Sailor Shikiori. These ones, this fall I'll just pull out some inks and fill this out. I'll fill this out sometime in the winter before winter's over. Same thing with spring and summer. And then little by little, as I find an ink that I'm like, ooh, I really dig it, it's my favorite, I'm gonna put it in here. So if you notice, there are a little bit of bleed through. So for this, what I could do, or what I'll probably do, is just cut up a piece of white paper and tape it here, so that way it doesn't really seep through. And even if it does, it's more like not to be used completely. It's okay if the color on the back seeps through, because what I do also have is this here, which is swatch cards. So I got these Irofu cards at the Yoseka Stationery Fest. So what I did was each I have it organized. So I used these Irofu pre-made swatch cards for certain things, and then what I did was I bought Irofu paper and cut it into chunks like this and used that for other inks as well. So what this one is, if it's this art palette, that's like set. So the Color Verse and also Diamine Ink Vent for 2023, and then JA-DYS the Couleur de Paris as well, and then also the Pilot Iroshizuku inks as well. So any ink set that I have, I use these in the beginning, and then full bottles. I'm sorry, any ink that's a full bottle is using this art palette. So I have full bottle of the Meadow and then now anything that's a sample is going to have this little fountain pen ink splotch, and this is a stamp that I got from Everyday Explorers Co. Stamp set. So I have samples, these are samples, and then here these are full bottles, and then they're also categorized by brand. So Archer and Olive inks are here, Colorverse, Diamine, they're together. And then I have blank spaces, so anytime I want a new ink, I get a new ink or whatever, I just pull from back here, I swatch it, let it dry, and then I put it in here. So yeah, I'm not going to need more than this, because this is kind of also to help me tailor getting too much. 2024, I kind of went ham, so my plan this year is to kind of like not really buy that many inks. I don't really have space for it. So yeah, so these little sections here, it's good enough for me, because if I'm getting more than this, so it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, yeah, this is like over 20, the space is for 20 slots. There's no way I'm gonna get 20 more inks. Like, that's excessive. So I have this, I showed you this as well. And then now, so I'm also an ambassador for Ferris Wheel Press. So all of my Ferris Wheel Press inks are in here. So basically what I did is cut up the Iruful paper into swatch cards. And then I used this stamp from Yoseka with this permanent ink from Archer and Olive. I stamped it, created these, and then I just categorized my inks by year. So 2023 inks, that was gifted to me, well, not gifted, was given to me in order to test out and help advertise, and 2024, and then the 2025 inks. In the back here are also samples. So these are the full bottle inks. I used Ferris Wheel Press before I became an ambassador, so these are the swatches of the inks that I got either gifted like in ink swaps, or that I bought before I was a ambassador. And then also I bought this one because I really wanted to work on a project and I needed in yellow ink, so this is that. So that's this. So now back to my little swatch book or ink journal. What I also did was categorize my pens by nib size. This helped me because if I'm like interested in a new pen and I'm not sure what size nib to get, I can look to see, okay, I have a good amount of extra fine or a good amount of fine or medium. Maybe let me try a different size nib. So I have this, and yeah, so these stickers again from Julia here. I swear this isn't sponsored. These are custom nibs that I have. Pens, and then here's a list of the gifted pens which I need to update as well. So then now I also broke it down for the section here for like currently inked for 2025. So here's my January currently inked, here's my February currently inked, and then so forth. I used a little round hole punch here to help break it out so I could know. Now here is I color outside the line sticker. This is one of my stickers that I created for my Etsy shop. And so now whenever I go to stationery store and I'm interested in trying out different inks, this is pretty much where I would like do all of that. So I was in Yoseka, December 14th I wrote down, and then I was on a quest for Mocha Mousse Brown. So I really like to do the Pantone color of the year. So like every New Year's Eve, whenever we like go out to celebrate, I like to dress in the upcoming year's colors. So December 2024, I was dressed in Mocha Mousse because that's the color for 2025, so forth. So this December, whatever the color of the year for 2026, that's what I'll dress up as. So I kind of wanted to like align my inked pens for January with the Mocha Mousse. So I was kind of like on a quest to find Mocha Mousse. I didn't really find anything that was like perfect. The closest color was this one, the Lennon Toolbar Bubble Tea. So you see here as a start, and I ended up buying a sample of it. But in actuality, when it came down to writing with it every day, it was a little bit light. Maybe I should have used a bigger nib pen. I think I used a fine nib, and it's very thin. So here I went to another stationery store, and they didn't really have that much extensive sampling the way Yoseka does. But I tried this Sailor Shikiori brush pen in this brown to try to see if it was like mocha. It wasn't, but I still bought it because they're new. They just opened and I wanted to support a local stationery shop. Okay, so then now here is just regular random notes. So I had a list of all of the pens that I had that were inked that's not being used, how much ink is in it, and then also my empty pens that need to be cleaned. Oh, let me zoom in a bit. Yeah, so then here is like a list. So this is pretty much just to help me keep track. Yeah. And then in the back here is like a little bit more info about my pens. So I have each pen listed, the name, the stub, and then I forgot the name of this, what this is called. It's like the quick brown fox jumped over the brown dog, or whatever it's called. So it's just a sentence that has every letter of the alphabet. So I did it in script, in print, then the alphabet in print, and in script as well. And then the plan is to write inked. So anytime the pen is inked, I write it down here. in order to help me keep track of the pens. So if you're wondering, like, what's the point of writing down when your pen is inked and with what ink, the point is, if your pen does get molded or something happens, if the ink gets molded or contaminated, you have a track of what was used and when, so you could kind of figure out or investigate what happened. So it's kind of like to future-proof an event of something that may happen. Or if you're kind of like me, where you ink a pen and you're not digging the pen ink pairing, but you feel a little guilty about emptying out the ink, and then so you give it a break and come back to it maybe a couple of weeks or a month later and you can't remember what ink is it, you can also go through here and check and see, oh, okay, the last ink in here was the Yake, for example. And I also made a little note of when and where I got the pen as well. So for certain pens, so pens like Esterbrook and Kaweco, you only really need one pen body and you can switch out the nibs. So what I did, once I figured that out, I just kept track of the different nibs and I decided I don't need to buy any more Kaweco bodies. I can just buy different nibs and it's like a brand new pen. Okay, so that's my ink journal along with my ink directories. Thank you so much for watching. I also do have another project that I'm going to start working on. Using this traveler's notebook. So here, the color meditation deck. It's cards that give you different ink, different prompts for color art projects. And my goal is to work on one each week and fill this book up. So I'll be using watercolors, fountain pens, color pencils as well. So if you're interested in checking that out, and other fountain pen, productivity, yoga, life stuff. So hit subscribe and thank you so much for watching. Salut!